Hey everyone, I'm Paul, aka Pabro.
And I'm Andre, also known as Meddler. Today is October 30th, which is a bit earlier than usual, because we're flying to Worlds soon, and we wanted to film this before we left.
This is our last dev update of the year, and before we get into some of the things you'll see in Season 1 2026, we wanted to thank you all for being on the journey with us this year.
As always, we want to show some love for your passion, for keeping us honest, and for making working on this game so worth it. Now, in January, we'll be back to talk more about Season 1, as well as a little bit of what to expect for the rest of 2026 overall. But for now, let's get into it.
We learned a lot this year about seasons. Many of you liked what came with the themes, the map art updates, metagames, new champions, and champ updates overall, for example. But we also saw that if we leaned too hard into a region, it could feel very one note, especially when it comes to skins. And as it turns out, there is too much of a thing like Noxus.
A lot of red and black.
Yeah.
So, we'll continue to find the right balance for thematic seasons moving forwards. And speaking of which, it's time to talk about Season 1 of 2026. For this, we wanted a contrast from 2025, with its ancient danger, a darken, and quite a bit of scheming throughout. So next year, we want to kick things off with themes of unity, hope, and justice, with a drop of righteous judgment thrown in there for good measure.
So that means Petricite, gold, and blue accents on the map, as well as some Demacia-themed skins, including some champions reimagined as Demacians, with plenty of non-Demacia skins for some variety.
That also means that the yearly cinematic in January will feature Demacian champions. We're going back to old-school Demacia this time, back in time to what some might consider the golden age of Demacia, when it was a beacon of hope and a bastion of justice.
Hey, Andre, are we forgetting something?
I don't think so.
You sure?
Yeah, let's keep going. I don't want this to drag on.
Anyway, we have a range of Summoner's Rift changes that the team will talk about in a moment. And this year, we'll also talk about some updates to Swiftplay. With that, we're going to hand it over to RiotEndstep and RiotPhreak, who will walk you through some of the Summoner's Rift changes coming in January.
Hey everyone, I'm RiotEndstep.
And I'm Phreak.
And we're here to talk to you about the Summoner's Rift gameplay changes coming in January.
Over the last few years, League has been largely about team fighting over neutral objectives, fighting around grubs, dragons, or that vision ward you just placed around grubs or dragons.
And while we know 5v5s make for some of the highest highs, we want to swing back towards a state where more strategies like splitting or sieging are more viable.
So we're making some changes to major neutral objectives, towers, and minions in order to do just that.
Additionally, we're making adjustments to roles so everyone has an appropriate impact on the outcome of each game, because right now, some lanes are much better at turning a winning lane into a winning game.
We also have some delightful improvements, so let's get started.
The first thing you'll notice in January is that the game starts faster. We want to reduce downtime after you load in, so minions and basic jungle camps first spawn 35 seconds earlier than they do today. You'll still be able to pull off early invades, but you'll have to be much more decisive when you load in.
We're also making some changes to vision. It's an incredibly powerful tool in League, but right now it feels monopolized by supports and sometimes by junglers. We want to make effectively warding the map easier to learn for everyone, and give more opportunities and power towards drops by pushing champions, especially mid and top laners who are side laning later in the game.
So, we're adding Phalites, locations that grant temporary bonus vision to wards with unique bonus vision areas for each spot. Some Phalite rings will be available at the beginning of each game, while others reveal themselves when the Elemental Rift transforms, particularly those that would otherwise disrupt early game jungle.
Okay, so on to the objectives. Otacon was one of the biggest additions to the Rift this year, and was a pretty cool, unique objective to fight over. That said, he contributed to objective fatigue, which many of you cited as an issue, and we agree. We wanted to alleviate this over time. We had removed the second form of Otacon, we removed the second set of grubs, but it really wasn't enough. So, just like Zehen did, we are cutting Otacon out of the game. That includes Blood Roses and the petals with them.
That said, let us know what you think about limited time gameplay changes and if there's something you'd like to see more of.
But back to Otacon, his removal also means that Baron will go back to his old 20-minute spawn time. Welcome back, King.
Additionally, we're making all epic monsters more durable, especially late game dragons as you get closer to Dragon Soul. That should make it so that it's easier for teams on the back foot to contest dragons and other epic monsters, or trade something meaningful on the other side of the map.
Finally, we're also removing feats of strength from the game. We like that they push teams to progress the game and provided goals to rally around, but we think we can create better gameplay systems that allow for players to have more individual agency over their games. With feats getting the boot, we're adding back some gold rewards for First Blood and First Turret.
Another way we're looking to improve sieging is with a new mechanic called Crystalline Overgrowth, which is kind of like a universal demolish effect. Crystals will build up on towers over several minutes, and when hit, they're consumed to deal an extra burst of damage based on how much buildup has accumulated. This should help enable pushing windows in more situations, even if you're behind or don't have the highest DPS. Demolish will be sticking around, but will be simplified to a good old 3-hit passive.
We love 3-hit passives.
Yes, we do.
Turret plates will now stay on outer turrets permanently and will be added to the inner and inhibitor towers as well. We're doing this to create long-term piecemeal rewards for pushing. No matter what state the turret's in, you're likely to mine some gold by taking aggressive actions. We're not adding more gold to the map with these changes. Instead, we're going to be basically spreading out the current gold for killing a tower and splitting it across the plates.
To further facilitate pushing, we're ramping up minion respawn rates in the late game to give more frequent access to sieging turrets. We're also adjusting late game home guards to swiftly take you to your most pushed minion wave in each lane.
And finally, Nexus turrets will respawn with partial health missing. We like that the respawn allows a team to hold their base for a while and not have to worry about getting backdoored by a Twitch, but with a full health respawn, it meant that it was honestly incorrect for a sieging team to finish killing the turret sometimes.
Now, for our biggest change for next year, role quests.
When you load into the game in January, top, bot, and mid lane will now have their own quests that reward unique power, similar to the jungle pet evolutions and the support item upgrades.
You'll progress these new quests by killing minions, champions, plates, towers, or epic objectives, all the things you'd normally be doing in a game. You'll progress even faster by doing those in your assigned lane.
Your quest is decided by which role you've been assigned in the lobby, so if you and a friend or a stranger want to change roles, make sure you do an official trade in Champ Select.
One of our goals with these role quests is to buff top and bot carry relative to the other roles, as they're currently the two weakest, and as a result, the quest rewards are going to be comparatively stronger for them. Now, let's get into the rewards which will be granted in a new role quest slot.
Historically, top laners haven't always felt like they have the agency over the games that they deserved, even if they won their lane, and that's something we would like to change this season. Upon quest completion, top laners will receive pretty much Summoner Teleport for free on top of the 2 summoners they already chose. Now, if you had taken Teleport in pregame, instead that spell gets a lot stronger, giving a very, very large shield when you use it. In addition to getting a functionally free summoner spell, top laners will also get a bunch of bonus XP up front, more XP from future sources, and an increased level cap.
Now, to mid lane. A huge variety of champions can be played there, so we wanted this reward to be good whether you're mage, assassin, or both like Malphite mid. And upon completing the quest, mid laners will receive a free tier 3 boot upgrade like the ones you could buy with feats, as well as a faster recall.
Rounding it out for new quests, in bot lane, we're going to lean even harder into the carry part of the role. So while top laners are getting bonus XP, bot laners are getting a whole bunch of extra gold. When completing their quest, they get a lump sum of gold, increased gold from minion kills, champ kills, and champion assists for the rest of the game. And you might be asking, well then what do I do with all this gold if I hit item cap? Don't worry, the item cap is going up. Your 7th item slot will hold your boots permanently, allowing you to get 6 full legendary items for extra hard late game scaling.
Jungle and support already have quests and rewards, but we still wanted to take this opportunity to make some changes to them. Jungle is by far the strongest role in the game right now, especially when it comes to early map influence, so we're slightly lowering the speed of early game clears to give lane matchups a little bit more time to play out uninterrupted. We're also making it harder for non-junglers to steal objectives by increasing their resists and making Smite deal more damage.
Their role quest is still getting pet upgrades and PvP Smite like before, and they're now getting increased gold and XP from large monsters when the quest is done, as well as bonus movement speed in the jungle.
Similar to jungle, we think support is already plenty powerful and has a very functional role quest, so we didn't want to directly increase their power. With that in mind, we wanted to give them quality of life oriented upgrades, so we're giving them a new slot exclusively for control wards, discounts on control wards, and a little bit more gold over time so they can keep pace a little better with the other roles.
Overall, we want these quests to represent meaningful power spikes in a way that leans into the unique strengths of each role. This also allows us to delete the lane swap detective mechanic that we added last year to combat pro lane swapping. We'll be keeping a close eye on how quests land, so please let us know your thoughts next year.
But role quests aren't all we have planned to make your champions feel more satisfying. We're going to bring back a few items to the Rift for each class, so give them some shiny new toys, including bringing back a few familiar favorites like Hextech Gunblade.
For example, we're adding the new Scepter of Bonking for AP fighters, which will empower your Spellblade Bonk to double your on-hit effects.
That's not the final name, is it?
I would like it, but no, we're probably going to give it something in canon.
I do love bonking. Well, anyway, given none of these names are final, if you're an AD fighter without a good way to get Omnivamp, you can grab Blood Sphere, which will give you some Omnivamp and also ability haste scaling with your AD.
Or if you play an AD carry who's really good at auto-spacing, you can pick up Snowbow for extra range on takedown, plus damage amp based on how far away you are from your opponents.
We took a hard look at which subclasses didn't feel like they were getting enough support from the current item system and worked to fill those spaces, so we're hoping many champions have at least one of the 9 new items that they can get excited about.
Speaking of which, we're also adding crit damage back to 200%.
Alright, we know that was a lot to cover. We're excited to hear what you think of all these changes as the new season kicks off.
And in case you're looking for even more details or insights on these changes, make sure to check out the dev blog that's live right now.
That's it from us on the Summoners Rift team, and so we'll throw it back to Pabro and Meddler, and we'll see you on the Rift.
Okay, let's talk about ranked. This year we've been making improvements to shorten queue times and make your matches more fair through improvements to inting and griefing detection. And, more recently, we ran a test in late September that reduced queue times by 40% at all ranks in ranked in EU West and Oceania. We want to double down on that work and make 2026 the best time yet to climb.
So next year, we'll be also tackling 2 common frustrations, mismatched teams and long queues. Something we want to address is visual rank disparity in lobbies as well. When players start their climbs late after a reset, you may see a bronze player in an otherwise gold game, which can feel particularly unfair. When in reality, that player was gold last season, but they haven't gotten back to that rank yet because they've had less time to play. So we're adding a climb indicator to loading screens when a player's MMR is higher than their visible rank. This will let other players know that you're climbing quickly and your displayed rank hasn't caught up yet.
We're also making changes to how flex and solo duo MMR are calculated. A common pain point is someone who is silver in flex and, say, diamond in solo duo just stomping a bunch of games, when in reality they're truly diamond in both ladders. So this season, if your solo duo MMR is much higher than your flex MMR, the system should bring your flex rank a lot closer to your solo duo one. And that should mean flex matchups will feel a fair bit more balanced moving forwards.
Next, we're making changes to autofill. The reality of League is that certain roles are substantially more popular than others, and having an autofill jungler versus a jungle main can feel like an auto loss. This means that quite often people either dodge to avoid it or hold your lobby hostage in order to get you to dodge. When nobody likes queue times, this is an awful experience.
So we have a number of changes to make autofill fairer, and to reward you for sticking with the role you're assigned when you do get autofilled. First, if someone on your team is autofilled, the system will try to match autofilled players by role. So an autofilled jungler versus another autofilled jungler, for example. If it can't match by roles, it will then of course fall back and try to ensure the same number of autofilled players on each team. We do know though that even with that balance, autofill games can still feel discouraging when you play your best in a role that you didn't choose. That's why we're adding a new system called Aegis of Valor. If you're autofilled and earn a mastery score of C or greater, the Aegis will trigger. You won't lose any LP on a loss, or you'll earn double LP for a win.
So for those of you who main less popular roles and therefore seldom get autofilled, first of all, thanks. We haven't forgotten about you. You'll still occasionally receive the Aegis benefit at about the same rate as other players because we want to reward the role heroes who keep the queue healthy and moving. Finally, we know how frustrating it is to be constantly returned to the queue because you get enchained dodges lobby after lobby. So we've made a few updates.
First, after a positive response to our pilot test, we're removing the ability to ban a hovered allied champion, taking away an opportunity for a teammate to tilt off the planet before the match even starts. And then second, dodging a lobby will no longer allow players to escape autofill. It'll just get carried over to the next lobby. We think that the Aegis of Valor should provide a solid reward for sticking around and trying. So, I mean, come on, it's double LP for a win, after all. And at Master and above, dodging an autofill will count as a full loss.
We know that this is a pretty big change from how we've dealt with dodging in the past, and we believe that this will lead to higher quality and faster games. Speaking of speeding things up, we're also speeding up Champ Select by cutting down on timers and animations, which should save about half a minute.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, no, I did it.
And if that wasn't enough, we've got one last ranked change. We're adding back duo queue to higher ranks, including Challenger, in most regions. For so many people, League is better with friends. And in the past we disabled duoing at Apex tier ranks because it so often led to rank manipulation. But, because of the improvements we mentioned earlier, as well as the ongoing work on boosting and ranked manipulation detection, we're confident that we can bring back high MMR duoing without it being so abused.
So, call up your friends. It's duo time!
Switching gears, let's talk about Swiftplay. Swiftplay is pretty popular. and we think there's a lot of room for further improvement. And we want Swiftplay to be that place where you can get in a quick game, where you and or some friends can practice new champions, or where new players can come and learn and get their footing on the Rift.
That means Swiftplay should still be somewhat competitive while providing quicker queues, faster games, and serving both new and existing players. So we're rolling out some changes that should address the overall pacing, touching objectives, laning, and the jungle.
To start with, we're bringing over a lot of the changes to Summoner's Rift generally that were talked about earlier in this video, except for role quests. Now, for Swiftplay specific changes though, the first thing we're tackling is game pacing. Swiftplay games are actually a bit long, and the general consensus is there isn't quite enough action. So things like long death timers, focusing on CSing in lane, and objective overload all take away from the promise of Swiftplay. So we want to get you to the action faster and more often.
Now, while some of the Season 1 changes will help address this, you'll also start Swiftplay at level 3 with some extra gold similar to ARAM. We're also lowering death timers across the entire game so you're getting back into the action quicker. And in order to keep the game from stalling out, we look for ways for you to capitalize on the shorter death windows. So we're increasing the minion spawn frequency, putting cannon minions in every wave after the third, and introducing a new mechanic that we're calling Minion Frenzy.
If you kill an enemy champion near your minions, they'll be inspired by your actions. They'll get enraged and attack faster and deal more damage. We're also going to be making some adjustments to tower durability and making sudden death start a little bit earlier. And thus, Swift. Outside of pacing, we also want to decrease objective overload. While the removal of Artican helps, we're also going to be removing the Grubs and Rift Herald.
Baron and Elder Dragon will also be spawning earlier, with Elder spawning at 15 minutes regardless of whether the Dragon Soul has been claimed. The game-ending power of these buffs being accessible much sooner should help in closing games a bit faster than what we're currently seeing.
And with Elder Dragon moving up, the Elemental Rift will transform after 1 Dragon, and you'll get the Soul after 2. Finally, rounding out these changes for Swiftplay, Jungle. Now currently, if you're not a seasoned jungle main, it can actually be pretty overwhelming in Swiftplay. These broader pacing changes around neutral objectives should make it feel much more comfortable, and like you're not being swarmed with objectives all the time.
Now we know this is a ton of information and changes, but the goal here is for Swiftplay to feel swifter without it being so dense that it's overwhelming. We have a dev blog coming out today that will cover all of these changes, plus a lot more detail behind the specifics, so if you want to learn more, go for it.
Hi everyone, I'm DashiJador, product lead, back again to chat about WASD, this time with
the tech lead for WASD. I'm Riot CallMeKT.
Now that Worlds is over and we're getting closer to the end of the year, we want to check back in on the wild world of WASD. We've been on the PvE for a few months now, and in that time we've caught and squashed over 100 bugs. All thanks to the feedback we received from all of you creative, maybe a little unhinged PvE players who've been helping us find, identify, and crush all of these pesky bugs. An extra special thanks to the players who are able to re-trigger the notorious new bug. Even beyond bugs, PvE players have been giving us great recommendations and requests.
One Redditor recommended that we add an option to do a single button input to move at a 45-degree angle up and down the lane. It sounded pretty wild at first, but we found through our internal testing that it actually saved a lot of finger pain. So it will be available as an accessibility option for WASD players going forward. Since our debut on the PvE, we've been continuously updating all the different facets of WASD. We've made improvements to navigating around minions, wall sliding, the new dynamic lock camera, and more. One of these features is a new auto attack system for WASD. With practice and dedication, you'll be able to weave attacks and movement, matching the experience in point and click to reach your optimum DPS. Our goal is to keep WASD as an alternative control scheme at all levels of play, not just for brand new players. We'll be keeping an eye on feedback as well as our internal data to ensure it remains an equitable experience.
We've also been updating our dynamic locked camera. We've added the highly requested ability to tune the camera speed to your liking. Along with these settings, we heard your feedback on wanting a way to scout ahead, to check for ganks, look at other lanes, and much more. So we've introduced a new feature appropriately named the Scout Ahead mode. When you're in dynamic locked camera, you can hold your middle mouse button to freely move your camera and you'll snap back on release. These features, along with all the bug fixes, will be available when WASD goes live tomorrow in all queues except ranked and normal draft games. We're choosing to keep WASD out of draft modes for now, as we want to make sure you can have a smooth process for your ranked climb.
Really? Tomorrow?
Well, WASD will be live in all unranked queues except normal draft in patch 25.24, which for many of you should be tomorrow.
We saw your requests and questions about other features we've promised, like champion-specific keybinds and enabling many of these new features for point-and-click players. We're still working on them, and much more to come.
We're at the point where we want to focus on getting large amounts of player data in order to drive our development further. So we're opening up the feedback channels to our much more global audience. Now, we still don't have the exact timeline on when WASD will come to Ranked. We want to ship it when it's ready, which means fair, balanced, bug-free, and smooth to play.
Please keep up the feedback and bug reports. There may still be a few stragglers out there. Only through our powers combined can we find all of them.
That's it for us. Be sure to check back out on WASD when it's live and send your bugs, feedback, and best misplays.
Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you WASDing on the Rift.
So how are your pickums?
Not great. Bit too much hopium when I filled them out.
I know how it feels, but the hopium's feeling good for me. I think I'm actually feeling great.
Really?
Totally.
Uh-huh. Who's wearing the suit then?
We don't know.
Not gonna be me.
I mean, we'll see.
Good luck.
Okay.
Okay, we know that this was a long one with a lot of info in it. And we'll see you again in January as mentioned to talk a bit more about Season 1 and a little bit about the rest of 2026.
Don't forget that Ranked will stay open until the new season, so go finish your climbs, have a happy and safe holiday season, and we'll see you on the Winter Rift.
Thank you so much.
Bye.